1. Hey everyone, welcome to Getting to Know ICC. As always, I'm Kevin, and today my wife's in the background doing laundry. Say hey, honey. Okay. And we have a very special guest. We have one of our religious education volunteers, Cindy. She is a 7th grade small group leader with EDGE. And so, hey Cindy, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm good.
All right. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your history with our parish?
Okay, so I am 26. I just got married this past year. I actually work as a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade social studies teacher, which brought me to EDGE. We moved to Denham a couple years ago, and I started RCIA in August of 2018. So I got confirmed last year around April. I got married in June, and I started EDGE in August.
And then we had quarantine in March. What a year, right?
Yes.
That's super cool. Awesome. So I've really enjoyed getting to know you this year. And I'm such a fan of people who will just jump in and be like, yeah, I'll try something. And even though that you're a new Catholic, right? What's been so great is that you're such a professional with middle schoolers. And so it was something that was, very easy to invite you to. And we went through a year that was kind of brought to an abrupt halt, obviously. Yeah. But we went through a year, and I was always impressed with, I don't know if you ever noticed this, and I didn't prep her for this question, by the way. Notice how many times I would be in a meeting and go, hey, Cindy, what do you think about this? Did you ever pick up on that?
Somewhat, not really. I mean, I don't know. I figured it was because I was a teacher. I spent all day with middle schoolers every day for years. So I wouldn't do anything else though.
Something that people will hear me say over and over again is, youth may not remember everything that we teach them, but they'll always remember how we made them feel. Mm-hmm. That was Maya Angelou who said a version of that I'm sure was much more poetic. And so what I knew is our curriculum is gonna teach the nuts and bolts of the faith. Like, we can do that. I tell people, my day job is FedEx. Did you know that?
Yeah.
All right, and so I train a lot of new couriers. And what I tell people all the time is, I can teach you the hows and the whys of FedEx, but I can't teach you to have a sense of urgency. I can't teach you to be a critical thinker. I can't teach you to work under pressure. I can't teach you to be a problem solver, and I can't teach you to care, right? And so to bring those into religious education, it's like this EDGE program, this nuts and bolts of the faith, that's the easy part. And
yeah.
People in your position are like, oh, I don't, I've heard, if I had one, Cindy, I've had 100 people say, oh, I don't know if I know the faith well enough to teach it. And I go, I don't need that. What I need is people who care. What I need is people who are willing. I need willing and open hearts, people who want to make a difference in the lives of young people. And so that's clearly why I pursued you after meeting you in RCA. I was like, here is someone who has made a profession, right? Sharing her life with young people. And I think we had a great time this year. What, off the top of my head, again, not prep, what's your, just tell me your memories, or off the top of your head, your thought process about being with EDGE for a year. What's
I think the thing that I really enjoy with it is I get to see middle schoolers and 7th graders in a different light, because during the day I spend so much time being the teacher and having a lot of responsibilities, versus with EDGE, it's more relaxed and we're talking about religion and kind of feelings and things that we don't really get to that much in school. And so I get to see these kids outside of the classroom and get to know them, and you just see a different side of them. And it's been really nice. Like I said, I am newly Catholic, and so I don't feel like an expert on the religion, but figuring it out with the kids is fun. I mean, it's a good
I think that you said it really well. And the way that I say it is this. If you're willing and open, bringing your expertise into the faith, you will then be open to the faith growing in us, and it's like, I know that I'm the point leader for Edge and all that stuff, but it's like the whole I have so much more to learn. And the whole reason I know anything is because of that openness. That's what I'm trying to get over people. So it's like, I valued your expertise as a leader of young people so much. It's like, you've now been in it a year, and I didn't invent it, but it's like, I was right? It's like, you learn the faith growing with the kid. Yeah. Right? Whenever we teach something, you're a math expert, you're a social studies expert. Well, why? Because that's what you teach. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm learning more and more about our faith because I'm teaching it to young people. And that's what you and all of our team is learning, Yeah. All right, cool. So in terms of faith, let me ask you a few questions here. We've started off most of these videos with, what is your favorite prayer and why?
So my favorite prayer is not really a specific prayer. It's something that I talked with RCIA about. It's more meditative prayer. So it's more just taking time to kind of clear my mind and allow the Holy Spirit to be present. So I either do that, or I will go to a Bible verse or story and kind of read it and try and put myself in that position as much as possible to kind of understand. So for example, when I started, I read the Sermon on the Mount. And so I read it and I just pictured, like, okay, being a history teacher, I'm in the Middle East and I'm living here with, all these other Jewish people, and this guy is talking about these new teachings and people are listening, and he's saying all these things that are kind of revolutionary for the time period. And so just kind of putting yourself in that position is something else that I really enjoy doing whenever I'm trying to pray and think on stories and stuff like that.
Okay, so what y'all are about to witness in real time is what I call a plot twist. Okay, so Cindy and I did not rehearse that answer. I did not see that coming. Cindy, you're the only person that's answered that way so far, which is one of the things I love about you. And so you actually jumped from two different types of prayer. So started out talking about what the faith calls Lectio Divina. So you're like reading the Bible, and then something sticks out to you, and you pause, and you start meditating and all that. But then you move to my jam, okay? Move to Ignatian spirituality, right? And so what that's talking about is, you talked about the Beatitudes, the Sermon on the Mount, right? Mm-hmm. What you do there, roughly, according to Ignatian spirituality, this is what I do. Basically, everything I read 3 to 4 different times. Mm-hmm. And here are the questions I ask myself. Number one, what would I really think if I didn't believe this was a fairy tale? Mm-hmm. And people are like, oh, no, dude, don't say that. I totally believe in this. I'm not saying you don't believe in it. What I'm saying is we relate to this like it's a fairy tale. Because if we really and truly authentically believed it, we would comprehend it on a completely different level. So that's always the first thing that I said. And that's not St. Ignatius. That's not St. Kevin, right? I go, what would I be thinking if I didn't believe this is a fairy tale? And then you take the Sermon on the Mount, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to be a disciple sitting there listening. What would I really be thinking? What would be going through my mind? What would I be smelling? What would the scene be? So
what would, the outdoors be? What would, I even think about like what I would be wearing historically. I'm a history nerd. Yeah. And so, I think about what I know about the culture back then and how they thought and how I would have grown up and how it would be different and how these ideas would be different for me because you would have grown up completely differently.
Right. So Ignatian spirituality turns out, your answer is like uber Catholic. Okay. Because like, I'll never forget, when I was Protestant, because I'm a convert as well, I told someone this is how I read the Bible, and they said, you know, that's called Ignatian spirituality. And I said, what's Ignatian? And
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
yeah, they giggled at me and they said, well, because I said, the Holy Spirit showed me this cool way to read the Bible, is what I said. And they said, well, that was invented or proposed by St. Ignatius in the 16th century. And I went, oh, okay, that's not new. And
not my idea.
and, I don't get interviewed at all in these videos, but I'll go ahead and tell you that my confirmation saint was St. Ignatius of Loyola, right? Because not only did he do that, he set up the parochial school system, and he had very mystical experiences with God, and he's someone who I really feel like St. Ignatius picked me years before I was becoming Catholic, you know? So the other thing, one of the things I love about your answer is when you sit with another person, which means you and I have to do more Zoom calls now, right? You know, we sit down, we have a glass of wine, and we talk about the Sermon on the Mount, because you and I are processing it through this Ignatian spirituality. I'm experiencing it through a male perspective, and are through a female perspective, and especially what both those look like in the first century when Jesus was giving this sermon. Those are way too different.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, what does that even look like? What does that feel like? And so I guess I should stop right now and quit being a fanboy and go, kudos to you, Cindy. Great job, because that's the best prayer answer I've heard, but it's probably because I'm biased, because I'm an Ignatian spirituality person. I'm sure that comes as a shock to you. Okay, so speaking of saints then, tell me who your favorite saint is, or the one that means the most to you.
So my favorite saint is actually Saint Dimphna. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it was one that I did kind of find her. She kind of chose me. I was at one of the Catholic stores. I was looking for, I was buying something for my husband. I don't remember, but I was buying something for him, and I was looking at the medals and everything. And I found a medal on her, and it said, you know, she's the patron saint of anxiety, stress, and mental illnesses. And, you know, anxiety and stress is something that I deal with a lot in my life, and I deal with every day. And so I bought it. And so I wear it most days, and it just kind of reminds me to, you know, kind of think about that. And, you know, I'm able to say a prayer and stuff. It's like a physical reminder every day that I wear it, that, you know, just because things are stressful doesn't mean they're necessarily bad. It's part of life, and it's something that you deal with. And so it's just like a physical reminder that I use daily.
That's so cool. Yeah, I tell people all the time, you know, when we're babies, you know, we avoid pain at all costs, you know. And then when we're crazy, we may run towards it, you know, or look or like seek it out, right? But when we become more wise, what we learn is not to avoid pain, but not to seek it out. But when it shows up, to look inside it, because we're going to learn something. And the promise of our faith and the promise of Jesus is he's going to meet us there, you know. And so that's a very cool answer. Very, very cool. Okay, off the top of my head, let's talk about some ways to waste time during this awful quarantine. Besides, can you see?
Petting dogs.
My dogs are just sleeping. Okay.
Dogs.
That's awesome.
There they are.
So give me, all right, let's talk about movies. So you're clicking channels, right? And young people have to Google that and see what it means. So and give me a movie that every time you see it, you stop. You know, it's 10 years old or whatever, but you start watching it wherever it is. Give me a good older movie.
Okay, so the series that I always stop on is probably Harry Potter, just because so much of my childhood was absorbed by that book series. So many people read it. My husband and I are listening to the audiobooks while we're in quarantine, just a little bit each day because it's nostalgic for us. So that's the main series that like I stop on and I always want to keep watching because I've seen them all, and it reminds me of youth, my childhood, growing up.
So is it safe to say that Stranded on a Deserted Island, this would be the book series that you would have, or no?
No, that's actually the book that I was thinking about, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the saint, is actually The Giver. So that's been one of my favorite books for a long time. I read it a couple years ago. My husband taught it to his 8th graders, and it reminded me, and I picked it back up and I read it in like a couple days. And I love the ideas in it, and part of it is, it's about the human experience and what it's like being human and having feelings. And, in the book, people are avoiding that. And then they find out that, that's such an important part of life. Yeah, it comes with pain and suffering in some instances, but it also comes with joy and love and things that are so good. And so I reread that a couple years ago, and I remember reading it 2-3 times in middle and high school, and I was like, that book, that is definitely
okay. Here goes my dogs. All right, so is that your Stranded on a Deserted Island book, or is that like a spiritual growth book, or both?
That's my Stranded on a Deserted Island book. That's
Okay.
the main one that
Sarge, stop.
And it's a series. It's got 4 of them. So
Yeah.
I've read the first 3, and the last one came out after, like, I was later in high school and I didn't realize it. But yeah, I've read this series before, and I would definitely read that.
All right, give me a movie that you've seen in the last year or two, maybe we could stream or on demand, that would be great to watch during the quarantine.
My favorite streaming movie lately is very cheesy. It's Moana. I love Moana, and mainly because I like to sing the songs constantly, very loud.
So are we going to have to, we won't record it, but are we going to have to later have a Zoom Disney sing-along where we
always.
Okay.
Yeah. When me and my husband were dating, whenever we'd be driving somewhere, it's like, oh, what should we put on the radio? It's like Disney songs, and we'd both sing it all the time.
So the big scandal in my house over the last Disney year has been this. Lion King came out my senior year in high school. Mm-hmm. And, I think 2 years before that, Aladdin came out. And I loved Aladdin. And then Lion King was like, boom. And so when they both went live action, and then I saw Will Smith was going to be the genie, I was like. And so we went and saw Lion King, and I was like, yeah, this was nice. And then everyone I talk to is like, you're an idiot. You have to watch the Aladdin. Like that, it's the best live action. And so that's my quarantine assignment for this weekend, is I'm going to watch the Aladdin live action.
Okay, I should. I haven't watched a lot of the new live action ones. The one I'm really excited for, though, is Mulan. I'm so proud of that. I'm like 10,000% ready.
I love it. One of the things that I never consciously, I don't know, it was never a strategy of mine, inviting people to come work on our team but speaking of Mulan, I have so many females that are like so strong and so bold and like hearing all their answers of saints and movies and all that, and Bible figures and all that has been so inspiring to me. And because I was a dummy, because the only real question I always asked myself was, is Cindy someone I can put in front of 7th grade girls and go, hey girls, I love you. Be like Miss Cindy. And the answer is clearly yes. But I'm ADHD, so that's all I think about. And all y'all's answers and how, I don't know, just how I feel like I'm fumbling this, but I think about all the things that Mulan's live action kind of stirs in my heart. You know what I'm saying? And it's not what I would want of any of my daughters. It's what I would want of any of my children, is to have her spirit and her bravery and her character, and her integrity. So anyway, I've just loved getting to know so many ladies, and I never saw this coming, and learning so much about myself and learning about just the amazing example femininity is in the Catholic Church, when maybe culture or media wants to tell us something different, so. All right, so a couple more, because you and I are having way too much fun, right? Give me a couple of these, because I've noticed that this is answered differently depending on an age group. What's your favorite thing, or maybe I'm saying that wrong, like when you type in youtube.com, what are you going to watch more often than not?
Okay, so I actually watch a lot of YouTube. My favorite lately, and it has been for a couple years, is BuzzFeed Unsolved Mysteries. So, and they're like at full
That's
episodes.
a thing?
Yes, they're at least 6-7 seasons in. They have over 100 episodes. The 100th episode was like last week.
I just wrote that down.
And they have different seasons from supernatural to true crime, and I'm very much a nerd when it comes to that.
Who among us isn't?
They go over different cases and everything. They'll go places and investigate. I love it. And at this point, the episodes are like 30-40 minutes long. So it's like an actual show. Now it's moved from like small episodes to like longer episodes. And I love it.
That's awesome. That's a suggestion I've not heard. And like I said, I don't write something down from every video, but I wrote that down. Like I didn't even, and like I'm a BuzzFeed quiz taker, like I get it. And I'm like, which Disney princess am I? Click, let's find out, But like I didn't know we did like a true crime / unsolved thing. That's amazing.
Oh, it's nice.
On that note, you have Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay. I just finished the Innocence Files.
That's on my list. I haven't finished it. I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my list.
I don't say this to show off, but Heather and I have been financial partners with the Innocence Project for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years. I don't know, to be honest. But like, we send them money every month. And then, I get all these cool emails about people who have been exonerated. And it's not like we told a good story. It's like DNA evidence, these people are innocent. And then they just did a Netflix show that's a 9-part. And I'm just like, it was so good and so intense and so like, I don't know. It's just like, to me, it's respect life is an issue that starts in the womb, but absolutely goes to death row and everything in between, And so it was such a fantastic show. Again, I don't get interviewed, so I'm going to throw in suggestions whenever I can.
Yeah.
All right, 2 more.
Okay.
Give me your favorite Amazon purchase in the last 12 months.
Okay, so I looked this one up, and it's very nerdy. It's my robot vacuum. I'm obsessed with it because I hate sweeping the floors, and I just press a button, and it goes around, and it looks so stupid because it bumps into everything. And my dogs follow it around like they have no idea what's going on. But it makes my floor so clean, and I love it. So
do you mind me asking which brand or model or whatever you have?
It's a Eufy, EUFY, and I got such a good deal on it. We returned a wedding present that was $150, and so it was on sale for like $175. So between that and taxes, I got it for like $35. So I was so excited.
All right, because I have a Roomba that I constantly put into my cart, and then I do save for later. That's what I do, yeah. All right, so that's it. I'm buying one. That's it, because I have 4 dogs, and I guarantee you that the floor looks if we did a video getting to know your floor, I would be fired from the church, just so you know.
Yeah.
All right, so last question, Cindy. Pope Francis calls you today, and he's like, hey, I need to know who you would make a saint. Forget about the canonization process, but you know, living or dead, Catholic or not, you know, fictional or real, historical figure, person, you know, doesn't matter. If you could make anyone a saint today, who would it be and why?
Okay, so I've actually always said for a long time that the person that I think is the most saint, like in my life that I know, is definitely my stepmom. So she has two special needs children. One will require care for the rest of his life, and she is the most patient person I've ever met. She is so calm and she works with him so well and she does so much for him. And at the same time, she runs a cookie business. So she does that for herself and for her own enjoyment. And so that's helped her a lot with, you know, having patience and everything so that she's more available for him. And I just, every time I go there, I'm amazed at how much she's able to do and how just she stays calm through so much. And it just amazes me every single time.
All right, so what's your stepmom's name?
Jennifer.
And where does she live?
Anna, Texas.
All right, so Saint Jennifer of Anna, pray for us, right?
Yes.
All right, I've super enjoyed this. Thank you for hanging out with me today. That's probably been my favorite video. Thank you. I tell people all the time, thank you for everything you do for our parish.
Oh.
Certainly, thank you for who you are, okay? I am enjoying just us walking together on this path and this journey, and I look forward to many, many video or in-time trivia games with our spouses. And leave anything I tell you in competition. Don't hold it against me,
okay? All right.
All right. Hey, thanks, Cindy. Thanks so much. I'll see you soon, okay?
All right.
God bless.
All right.